Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me at the market site in Times Square, New York City, we have Tony Zhang. He's a chief strategist over at OptionsPlay. We're going to learn about an intuitive way to trade Nordic derivatives. Tony, it's great to have you with us at market site as always. And let's get right into this. I want to pull up our first chart here so that we can learn about what the OptionsPlay platform is.
So first of all, thanks for having me today. So what we're here to do is really to talk about the new partnership that we launched between OptionsPlay and Nasdaq in late 2019 to help Nordic investors better understand how to utilize options for their portfolios. So we launched this new partnership, which everyone can access completely free of charge at optionsplay.se. And as part of that, you're going to get three things. Number one, first and foremost, is going to be education. So we're here to help investors understand how to utilize options in their portfolio in a sustainable way. So a lot of the education that we have is focused on helping people understand what type of strategies they can utilize options for in their portfolio, and then more importantly, provide them with the tools that they'll actually need to be able to implement those strategies. Everything from the platform itself, which we'll show you here in a few seconds, as well as the different reports and resources that we have that provide ideas to clients each week. And lastly, what we really want to do is help Nordic investors build the community, because options trading is not something you do alone. We want to show people that there are other traders out there that are looking to learn and willing to share ideas with each other, and we wanted to create that for the Nordic community.
All right, let's move along to our next slide here and learn a little bit more about the Nordic derivative market.
Yeah, so first and foremost, I want to say that in the Nordics, it's actually quite expansive. There are over 100 listed options that you can trade that span 4 countries. You have Sweden, Denmark, Norway, and Finland that you can trade listed options on. Predominantly, they're going to be in equities, but there are also ETF and index options that you can trade. And this is currently predominantly going to be in the Swedish markets that you can trade these listed options for.
All right, now why would you want to have options in your account?
That's a great question. So, what we see is that there are 3 primary reasons that investors look at utilizing options for their portfolio. First and foremost, the most popular strategy is generating income. In this current world of zero interest rate environment, even negative yielding interest rates, generating income is first and foremost one of the most popular strategies. We see cover calls and cash secured puts traded on this strategy. The second, which I actually think is the most interesting for a lot of users, is speculating on the directional moves of the market. So whether you have a bullish or bearish view on an equity or an index, you want to speculate on that using leverage, but also have controlling that risk. Options allow you to do that. And lastly, given the fact that we've been in a 10-year bull market, a lot of investors are looking to protect their profits. So hedging their portfolio against downturns in the market is the third reason that a lot of investors look at utilizing options for their portfolio.
All right, let's look at our next chart here. And this is about how the platform actually works. This is one of my favorite parts of it, where you can get trade ideas and build your watch list.
Yeah, so at the core of this new partnership is the OptionsPlay technology. So if we think about your trading day, right, you start your day thinking about what should I trade? What symbols do I want to pay attention to? So at the start of the OptionsPlay platform is really our trade ideas and our watch list section. Our trade ideas scan the technical events for the entire Nordic market and provide bullish and bearish ideas across the whole region. And our watch lists have pre-built watch lists of all the derivatives that you can trade in the Nordics so that you can see where you can trade options on, and as well as create watch lists to track the symbols that you want to follow every day.
All right, moving along to our next slide here, security analysis, giving you, it's almost like having your own trading desk behind you, helping you.
Exactly. So once you have the idea in your head, how do we actually analyze it? How do we decide whether we want to take a bullish or bearish view on that specific trade? And that's really where the where the OptionsPlay platform comes into play, where you can use our 1-month and 6-month trend indicator to get a sense for your short-term trend of how a stock is doing against its own historical past and showing you that trend, how it's changed over time. And then our technical score, which is a relative strength ranking, to give you a sense for how the stock is doing compared to the overall market. Is it outperforming, underperforming? And this type of information is very useful for technical traders to get a sense for which directional view they have on that underlying stock. And at the bottom, we have things like earnings, dividends, and price action data that are really important for options users to understand what corporate actions are coming up to decide which expiration cycle they might want to trade using options.
All right, moving along to our next slide here, we're actually getting into the trade here.
Yeah, so this is the fun part, right? Because, when it comes to options, there are a lot of options. So first of all, what we always do for any stock, whether you're bullish or bearish on that stock, we always give you 3 strategies. And these 3 strategies really represent the progression of a trader, from an absolute beginner who's trading stocks to a simple option strategy, buying a call option, to a more advanced strategy on the right where we have a vertical. And this gives a starting point, so a user doesn't have to pick their own expiration dates and strike prices and get a sense for where to start, and then providing them with the analytics to really understand if the stock was to move higher, how much profit do they potentially have? If the stock was to move lower, how much risk do they have? To be able to really understand the performance of a strategy before they get into it and before they execute that trade.
Can they trade straight through their broker?
So currently we do not have the straight trade through functionality, but that's something that we are currently working on with the brokers in the Nordic.
All right, even more good stuff to look forward to. Now going along to our next slide, taking a look at income.
Right, so when it comes to options, we see a clear segmentation between traders and income generators. So for the income generators, we have a very similar screen where we give you a starting point, both for the cover call and the cash secured put, two of the most popular strategies to generate income. And what it provides you with is a starting point and the analytics to give you a sense for how much yield are you actually receiving from this income strategy so that you can compare apples to apples. And lastly, because with this type of strategy, we see that users have different preferences. So we actually allow you to create your own preferences as far as how far out you'd like to sell your cover calls, whether you want to sell conservative or aggressive cover calls, and be able to show you the strategies that match your personal preferences when it comes to these income strategies.
All right, moving along to our next slide here, and we kind of went over this before, but I want to reiterate the fact that you can learn to trade, get income, and also the trade ideas, which I think is really exciting.
Exactly. So it's, we just showed you the platform itself, but beyond the platform, there's going to be times where you're going to need additional things. So first and foremost, we actually just launched a new beginner's options master course just earlier today. So in 2020, we're launching these courses to really help anyone, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced trader, to learn concepts for trading options, best practices, and then giving you the different resources you need to apply those week to week. So we have income reports for those that are looking to generate income. Every single Monday, we're sending out cover calls and cash secured put reports to give you which stocks have the highest yield. And then on the trade ideas side, we send that out every single Friday. These are based on technical analysis setups. We provide you not only the setups and the charts, but also the option strategy around them, giving you both closing and opening transactions for those particular trades. So a lot of different resources to help traders understand how to utilize these options.
All right, and on to our next slide here, taking a little bit deeper of a dive into options education and the different types of strategies you can learn at either level, but it's always great to be able to go back and do a refresher as well.
Yeah, so we actually find a lot of advanced traders really enjoy the beginner classes to get understanding of fundamentals, and that's really where the beginners start, right? Fundamentals, making sure that everyone understands the basics before you can move on to learning the next. So we really put this slide up to give users an understanding as to what they're going to learn and see the progression that they make as they progress through the education. So we start with the single legs, cover calls, cash secured puts, buying calls and puts for the beginners before we advance to the vertical spreads, which is really where a lot of the more experienced traders are trading and understanding things like risk management and volatility and how that applies into selecting expiration dates and strike prices before really talking about the more advanced, where we talk about volatility, we get into some of the finer things like Greeks and option pricing, which go into helping people optimize their strategies, right? So it's learning, applying, and then optimizing at the very end.
All right, moving along to our last slide here, just a quick recap on how we can get onto the platform.
So I just want to leave investors with the idea that learning how to trade options is something that can take quite a bit of time, anywhere from a few weeks to a few months, and sometimes that road can be a little bit frustrating or confusing. So what we're really doing here with this partnership is making sure that all investors have access to the right tools, right education, and resources to be able to go through that step by step, and we're here to help people through that process. And it's all available to everyone free of charge if they simply go to OptionsPlay.se.
All right, Tony, great to have you with us as always. And thanks for joining me on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.